think if we look at the future now, I think because of our age, we've had different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think for us that we were born before AI, before smartphones, before all of that, in which we became accustomed to with time. I think if we look at the generation now that is born with it, I think they would have a hard time being human because they don't know, or maybe they do not remember what it was like to play outside. They do not remember what it's like not to have homework as a child. They do not remember when I used to go to school with what we call a peachy folder, which is just a regular folder, and maybe you have like 3-4 papers, and that's it. Because and then the teacher will give you the rest you keep in your locker.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going to school with that, and then coming home at night, and we would play in the middle of the street because it's fine.
Yeah.
You play till 8 o'clock, and then your mom called you, and you went inside to eat dinner. I think the new generation would have a very hard time adapting to that because they do not perceive that now. I think they would have a hard time being human.
Yeah.
I think we would have a great time because we said,
Yeah, because we've seen it.
We've seen
lived
it.
Yeah.
We've experienced it. And then I'm talking about Los Angeles. I'm not talking about here in Italy. I can't tell you what it's like to live here.
Very similar, to be honest, because, I mean, and that's LA. Imagine how it would be in a place like this, or a small town, really small town.
Yeah.
We would, play outside, really peaceful. I mean, we would go biking during the summers, and during winters, maybe we would play in each other's homes. I mean, the max technology we had was split screen on video games, but still, I think even split screen on video games, which is, yes, it's video games, but at the same time, you're together, you're talking with the other person. Right now, yes, it's video games, but it's online, and so you're completely distant. Yeah, you talk maybe on a headphones, but it's not the same. The fact that you took turns together in the video games. I mean, of course, it's nostalgia, but at the same time, the being together, the smelling the same air, the
being in the same room.
Yeah, the fact that you're in the same room, it's something that it's being lost, and something that I think something will have to emerge that will let people, young kids especially, experience it in a way, find a way for them to experience it. And I think in this way, like sports have taken this role right now, but I think it doesn't work anymore. I think we are finding the limits of traditional sports right now.
I think traditional sports has taken a different connotation.
Mm-hmm.
When I played sports as a child, it's because I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I love to get dirty. I love to play. I love the passion of I played soccer and football. So I used to love hitting, but I hated to get hit in football.
Makes sense.
But that also stimulated you to become better. I think nowadays we all look how much the players are getting paid. We look at, he's making X amount of money. In America, college football, before they were not allowed to have contracts, they were not allowed to have any type of money or endorsement. Now they are able to. So from a very young age now, when a child is 18 and going into college and playing at a high level, that wanting, that yearning, that trying to get better right away kind of diminishes because you're starting to get already money. So you're saying, I'm already here. Mm-hmm. Why should I continue to get better? And there's only a very few people that continue actually to get better with time. And I think one of the big problems with sports, even with soccer, we see, Ronaldo getting millions to go play. I've taken a step back from traditional sports. Even when I played soccer in the US, I played with a contract and it was fun because I loved the sport.
Yeah.
So if you told me, here, you get $200 a month, and I said, all right, I just want to play.
Sure.
Kids nowadays, or people nowadays, they don't play because they're not getting 200 million. And it's like, come on.
Yeah.
If you really want to do it, you play. And it should be that. And so I think traditional sports is getting a bad rep because we're looking more at the money than we are at the actual playing, and for the entertainment purpose of whoever's watching to say, oh, my team is winning.
Yeah, that's a very important social role of sport. I think this is really true. Maybe not so in Italy. I mean, only in football, in soccer. In Italy, it's the only sport that's being paid with contract. And I think in Italy, by law, we can only have sport contracts for, I think, soccer. I don't remember. Maybe volleyball.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not many sports. And that's why when you go to the Olympics, you find that, I don't know, Gianmarco Tamberi is from Fiamme Gialle, he's from Guardia di Finanza, because they cannot pay you just for, you cannot have a sporting contract for being an athlete of track and field. And so you have to be inside the...
Something.
Yeah, something.
You have to be part of something.
Yeah, something from the state. And so, like, if you're from Guardia di Finanza, then you play for Guardia di Finanza, but you're paid as a Guardia di Finanza, not from track and field, not for track and field, allegedly. But so, yes, that's in Italy. It's only for soccer. But I think another important point is that I've seen it because I've been a water polo trainer for a coach for a few years, and I've been through it, so I've seen it, living it. It's the fact that today it's only about... If it's not about money, it's about outcome. So the result part, it's really, really important, and that's why you start taking kids younger and younger and start to specialize them. And that's as problematic as not make them do anything, I think, because specialization really early in life, it's really problematic, I think, because as you said, first of all, you lose touch with the love of the sport because you're connected with, oh yes, I want to perform, I want to reach this, I want to reach the Olympics, which is, okay, really cool, but it's not for everybody. And so you, at some point, you either have the fire to become someone in the sport, or you lose interest because the resources are put into the competition side of the sports right now. Think about this. If you're a trainer, you study to become a trainer. If you're a good trainer, you work on the competitive side of the sport. Yes. And if you're not so good, you'll end up on the amateur part. And so if you don't want to compete, or if you're not, because competing means that you have to cut the people that are not the best, right, the 10 best, And so the people that are cut from that, they end up maybe in amateur sports, which are not very good, let's say, because the people that trains them are not very good. Or also they go maybe to a gym and just lift weights.
Yes.
Really early, which is not good. Not that lifting weights early is not good, but if it's not connected with anything movement, like, it's not important.
That's very interesting, because as you were speaking, I was thinking about my son when he was 4 and a half. I used to play golf over here at the Ciro Golf Club. And as I got more involved in trying to do the tournaments, I noticed that I had changed my training from 5 o'clock waking up and just doing practice. Just practice for half hour. So maybe about 100 swings. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I would move into the actual elastic bands just to get the rotation and more power. And then one day my son asked me that he told me he wanted to play tennis. So I said, why? I play golf, play soccer, But he said, no, Daddy, I really want to try tennis. So I said, okay, let's call people around and have you try. It was quite interesting because the coach did not want to take him because he was 4.5 years old. I asked very politely 2-3 times, and he said, okay, bring him. Mm-hmm. But just to be fair, if I send him away, you deal with it. I said, don't worry, I'll explain to him. Yeah. Not a big deal. And so my wife brought him because I was at work, and when I came back and I asked, hey, how did they go? She said, we're going back next week, 2 times a week. And so I called the coach and I said, how come you want to see my son? Yeah. He goes, because he's very natural and he's very good with the backhand or rovescio. Mm-hmm. It comes to him very natural. And he's actually very, very good. And I said, okay, So for me, because I competed in college and because I competed outside, even with them as a semi-pro in the States, I thought it was quite interesting because I noticed that I was starting to bring my own work ethic, try to get him to do the same. And so I had to slow down and realize that he is just a child and let him have fun. Because if I did too much, it would backtrack and it would go backwards. And that's what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because I also realize that he is just a child and he does want to play, and for him it's fun.
Yeah.
And
As it should be, you know?
As it should be. But I think I had to catch myself and tell myself, no, you have to be dad. You cannot be the coach that you think you should be. So I thought it was quite interesting, and because I was seeing it as myself too. So I did my tournaments, and one time I got first place, and a few times I got last place, but I was always in the middle. But I think that's, for me, that's my passion, to always get better.
Yeah.
And I can't expect it for everybody else, and that's what I have a hard time with. Because, you know, as a chiropractor, I want people to feel the best. I get treated once a month. I treat myself, I treat my children and my wife two times a month, so every 2 weeks. Because I think I want you to feel your best. And so I have a very hard time when I meet people that come to see me and you feel that they want to get their best, but they really do not want to feel their best. And I think that's a very hard thing that I still have a hard time with. So I thought that was a very interesting topic, and the different thoughts that ran through my head.
That's very interesting, because that's the problem that I face too. Because I think if you are in the line of work that we are, you work with people, you want them to feel better. You want them to feel as best as you can make them feel, let's say. And you want them to express their full potential, let's say. That you might be able, that we can be able to see in them, because maybe we've been there, we've seen how things can change, but maybe they cannot, and so we are like guides, you know, trying to guide them. But yes, it's hard, even for me, it's really hard to see people that come here and maybe ask for things that are not really that important, like aesthetics, you know. And we talked about this the other day. There was this friend called Loris. He's a calisthenics athlete, but more than that, he's a personal trainer, really, really open-minded, really intelligent, really skilled. He has this place in vicino Baraccola called HBR.
HBR.
And he was saying the same thing, that it's this balance, you know, trying to help them, trying to guide them, but at the same time not being too involved, not to feel like we fall shortly if they don't follow our help. It's still really hard for me, because I every time I think maybe I should have done something different, you know, maybe I could have told them something different and it would have made the change.
I think that was the first thing I used to say. Now I learned that, okay, and I tell people, I became, in the years, a little bit, I let my American side show a little bit more. So if I see something that I notice that is not correct, I will try to help you as much as I can. But if you don't want to take the time to do your own exercises to get better, I ask people, if you come, then you have to come a little bit more. Why? Because you have to get better in this to get to the next stage. If you don't want to take the time, then I'll take the time when you're here. But that's it. And I don't believe in always holding the baby's hand. I don't believe it. Up to a certain point, and I mean, I have small children, but even I see with my child that is 2 years old, when she goes down the stairs by herself, she wants to do it completely by herself. So I stay in front of her. Okay, she falls, I could catch her. And she falls backwards, she could sit. That's how I put it. And I think it's quite interesting because my two older kids, they wanted to hold my hand. And at a certain point, I just let it go. And I said, all right, you're 4 years old now, go. Instead, with her, she's 2 years old, and I already see that she's trying to do more advanced things. And I think that's good. And I also think, wow, and she's just a child, and she understands.
Yeah.
How come not everybody wants to understand?
I don't know. This is very interesting, because I too think that especially in your line of work, people tend to think, okay, he's gonna solve my problem.
Yeah.
You know, I see it. I mean, I know when people talk to me, for me, a little bit when they come to train, but for when they come with the pain, because I think that maybe I'm wrong. I think that people come to you with, I have this pain, make it go away.
Yes.
It's usually, no?
And do it like this.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, you know, the majority of my patients are people within our age that may have a hernia or un hernia disco. And so I tell them, to get to where you are, it takes years because the body compensates so much that to get so hurt with a hernia disc, you need years of bad movement, of simple. I see kids nowadays with herniated disc. So children between 10 to 15 because of the backpack, because of the cell phones like this. And it causes compensations in our body. And I tell them, okay, this took, you know, a few years to build. I cannot make you better in one night.
Of course.
It could be a miracle, and it happened 1 or 2 times, but that's it. I cannot. There is no miracle for every single person when every single person is different. You know, and that's very hard to explain. I think it's easy to explain. It's hard to understand.
Yeah. Do you think it's specifically for chiropractors that people think, oh, he's going to solve it like this?
No. I think it's the majority.
Even with physiotherapy, osteopathia, you think it's the same?
Absolutely.
Because I have this feeling, maybe because you know, I see how people portray every line of work, and yours, when I see chiropractors on the internet, on Instagram, it's always, oh yeah, crack, and it's solved.
Yes.
You know, oh, see, now I can and so I feel like people have an idea in their mind that, oh no, chiropractor is the thing that's going to crack me and it's going to be solved.
Yes. I think it's when I talk to the people that I know, and I work with a lot of physical therapists, I work with a lot of osteopaths, I work with a lot of professions. I think one of the big things that we talk about in confidence and in confidenza is this. You know, I had a person who stopped coming because he said I didn't get better. And I said, you know, that happens. Okay, not everybody's going to be able to solve everything.
Yeah, it's part of the game, I think.
I always ask, how many times did they see you? 2 times. I said, oh, let it go. It's not even worth it. Okay. I think when we start looking at social, we do show the results first.
You have to.
You have to. I think in my, with work and over the years, I think I've become better than I was at the very beginning. Obviously, because you realize the patterns that people have. And then you also start realizing the patterns that and how people behave. If this is somebody who wants to get better, they are going to get better. And I see a lot of people that will have pain for so many years. They come in for pain, but then they realize that they have something else. And I say, okay, so what is your biggest problem? So it's not the pain, it's this. And I say, okay, all right. How is your pain? Oh, I forgot about it because it's not there anymore. I said, okay, so let's focus on the real problem, but I need you to take different steps. And there are some people that say, yes, I'm getting a little better, but, and everything. And I said, listen, focus on the good stuff. Can you walk now? Yes. How long? For an hour. But I used to walk for 3.
Yeah.
Well, you just already walked for an hour, so you can have time to grow again. So let's focus on the more important things, okay? And I think people like to see that they want to get right away better because of all the social. And when we adjust people and you hear that noise, a lot of people in my office don't make noise. Because if you're doing what you're supposed to do and your body is reacting positive, you make noise because you are blocked.
Yeah.
And there's no movement, okay? There's no movement between the vertebra, and so you're causing everything to kind of be stuck. Instead, movement is power. You know? When you're moving, you're alive. When you're dead, you don't move anymore. Yeah. You have plenty of time for that.
That's the definition of that.
Exactly. And I think that's what we want to keep people moving. And I think just people want to hear the cracking and say, okay, I feel better. That's fine. You feel better? Yes. How much better? look, I could go back to my life. Recently, we had a person, and he comes from Mucha.
I don't know where it is, but it sounds right.
I believe from near Fabriano.
Okay, see.
And he comes to my office, and he used to do a lot of road races, so bicycle.
Okay.
Okay, so
very
always in this
tightening sport. Yeah.
Yes, and he was a very good competitive athlete, and he showed me pictures. He showed me some of his races, and he was doing very well until he got to the point where, as soon as he went on the bike, he started to feel like fainting. So I said, okay, something's not right. I asked him, did you see your cardiologist? He goes, every checkup is perfect. But he goes, and then I started to feel fainting and my arms would fall asleep. And I said, okay. I said, let's take two steps back and let's see exactly what's happening. So we started to work on him and we started to adjust his mouth and his cervical spine. And he came back last week and I said, hey, I said as a joke, are you racing? He goes, no, but I went on the bike for 1 hour and I had no more feelings and no more symptoms. And I said, good. And he looks at me and goes, you said it's always my neck. It's the cervical spine. What is happening? And so I had to re-explain to him. And usually I like to re-explain to people what we're doing and why we're doing it and what is happening with their body. Because I think if you have an understanding of what is happening with your body, you can become more in control of what you can do. And then from from what you can do, you start to move it to what you want to do. And I think that's very important for people to understand. And I think it's harder to explain
than to feel.
Yeah,
I think I understood, I don't remember even when, but that once you understand principles, everything
yes.
Starts from there and everything changes. And yes, I think the key is try to get people to understand new principles. And from there, everything will stem. They'll start to see things from a different point of view, and everything will fall into place a little bit better. You made me remember the other day with Loris, we talked about this metaphor. Let me know if you think it's correct even for you. He said we are like Virgilio, from Dante's Inferno. This is more
Yes.
of an Italian thing.
Yeah.
So it's like the mythical Italian
Yes.
story
of
the last
purgatory.
century. So Dante goes to hell, then through the legs of the devil, comes up to purgatory, and then goes to heaven. And through hell, if I remember correctly, only through hell, he's helped by Virgilio, which is Roman from the past, the spirit of Virgilio. And Virgilio is always behind him, just looking, just like shining a light around him to show where he can go, and just talking and just telling him something only when he's truly lost, but never touching him, never telling him what to do, just kind of showing him the way. But that's it. It can only show the way, but it cannot touch him, cannot guide him. And he said that what we do is very similar, where you can show people the path around them. Where's the path if they get lost a little bit, but you cannot force them to go there. Right. You cannot take them there, and you cannot interfere with too much with what they are going to do, with their free will, let's say.
Yes. There's also a children's book. I have it. I don't remember the exact title, but I think it's The Mole, the Fox, the Mole, the Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And the concept is very same, to the point that the boy gets lost in the forest and he meets these little animals that help him along the way. And at some point he doesn't know where to go, and the horse, I believe it was the horse that said, if you could see in front of you, that's your step. And I think that's it's a very similar concept. And I wonder I wonder if one got the point.
Could be. I think it's, as we said before, talking about Campbell, it's something that this is so archetypical.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the story for excellence. I think that if you ask the right question, the right answer will come.
Yes.
So if you don't get answers, it's only because you're not asking the right question.
And I think you gotta ask from a place that you are sure about.
Yeah.
I think because if you look deep inside of yourself and you know what you want, you find it.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, and that's why when we talked before, you said, yeah, people come from this for this, and then we find out it's not that. And I think we can see it, when people come in, you can kind of see it, but you cannot say it directly. As I said before, you cannot take them there.
Yes.
You can just say, okay, yeah, sure, this is the question. But I think that we cannot understand anything that we already know. In a way, if you think about it, our mind interact with the world, and we get millions of inputs, but we decide to get into consciousness only a few selected ones. Selected by what? By principles we have, by let's say it's like having shades that make us see only different, only
Right.
precise frequencies. And so if I want you to learn something new, I have to change your shades.
Yes.
Because if I don't do that, even if it's in front of you, you'll never see it.
It's true.
So I think that if you ask the right question, the answer is there. If the answer is not there for you immediately, means you're not asking the right question, and
Or
you
you
have to go deeper a little bit.
Or you don't want to see it.
Which is the same, Isn't it the same?
No, because it could be right in front of you and you just choose not to see it.
Okay, I get what you say. Yeah.
Then you can almost ignore it.
Consciously, I don't know if it's
I don't know if
consciously.
it could be consciously. If it could be consciously that you ignore, and that's fine too. And I always say that's fine.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
It's part of the process. Before you're gonna, I always tell with my children, listen, when they climb on chairs, when they climb on couches, and they want to jump off, and I said, that's fine. You want to do it? Do it. Do you feel safe? Yes. Okay. Then you're good. Now, if you fall, you have to get up. But because I warned you, I'm not going to help you up because I want you to get up.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I started that because of the conscious looking factor. And you want to ignore what daddy is saying and you want to try. Well, that's fine. But before, if you're safe, good.
Yeah.
But if you get hurt, that's just part of the consequence.
Yeah, you have to learn. And that's what adjusts
Yeah.
the conscious mind.
Yes.
In climbing, there's this thing where you look at a movement and you trust your instinct. You say, can I do it? What's my instinct say about it? And if your instinct say yes, you have to try it. Because if you don't try it, you'll never know if you can actually do it. And doing it more and more, you'll get fine-tuned about what you can actually do with your body. And I try to do this with clients. I make them do this thing where it's like I give them a problem to solve, physical problem, like you have to walk on a beam, then you have to go under something, over something else. You can only use your right hand or your left hand. And I do it because I think people have to, something that it's not
Taught.
It's not taught, thank you. It's fine-tuning what you can actually do. What can you actually do? You don't know what you can actually do. If you don't train it constantly, you don't know what your body can actually do. If I put you in front of a jump, leaping over something, can you do it? Can you clear that distance? You might not know because the last time you jumped was like when you were 16. So making you fine-tune what you can actually do. Like a woman one day rested her chest on a bar, and the next day came and said, "Oh, I had a pain all night, this pain." And I said, "Good, you learned. You thought you could rest yourself there. You cannot. Now you know. Isn't it better?"
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I think you have to hit that wall sometimes. You have to hit it and say, all right, next time I either do a little bit better job to break it, or I learn how to avoid it.
Completely. Yeah, which is, but as we said before, avoid it completely means not moving, which is death.
Or not trying.
Yeah, which is the same.
So I think that's an interesting concept. I think we have to hit walls. I think we have to try to break it. And there is a moment, I think. I mean, if you're trying to clear a 20-foot jump and you know that you can't make it, okay, at some point I say avoid it.
Yeah, sure. Definitely, yeah.
But I mean, within reason, if you wanna, if you going back to that, or even that lady, even with that lady, one of the fastest ways to break your rib, for example, that I've seen in Italy, are people trying to close windows because they lean against the marble piece
Yeah.
around the window.
To extend. Okay. Interesting.
And so I always say, okay, well, the next time you know not to do that, or to get somebody to help you, because that would be a movement to not retry, because you know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But next time you learn on, maybe you could put something, a padding.
Yeah.
And if you have to do it, you put padding and then you try again.
Yeah.
Okay. I always tell them, don't get a chair because then you fall out.
Yeah. better have a broken rib than fall
than falling out of the window. But these are things I think that we have to also realize what is the context.
Yeah.
Because I think people will try to find the easiest way not to do something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My line of work is making people do stuff that they don't want to do.
Yes, exactly.
Most of it. Somebody once told me, it's a hard job because you sell pain, you sell discomfort. Nobody wants discomfort. I mean, it's hard to find people that wants intentional discomfort. I mean, it's not an instinct. Train is one of the less instinctive thing you can make a human being do.
Yes.
It's completely non-evolutionary. We are not made to expend more energy for something that's not directly, that not gives us something immediately after.
Yes, like as a result.
Yeah, as a result, yeah. So it's hard to convince people sometimes, and that's why even if it's so good to train, so good to be in shape, let's say, not everybody does it. And I think it's a job. It's our job to find ways to make it more appealing, more interesting, and make people understand that it's normal for them to not wanting to exercise. That's why I read these books against exercising, against training, because I was so interested. Because from my point of view, where I was coming from, after having trained my whole life, I was saying, what are they saying? How can somebody even try to have an argument against exercising or training? But they have a point. I understood it. They have a great point, actually. Exercising gives people pains, gives people problems, and I think it's the problem. It's the training community has to change. Something has to change.
Oh, yes.
It's just points to the things that we have to evolve from. I think there are lots of problems with today trainings, the way people trains usually.
In what way?
I think that traditional exercise. I think that let's say, okay, first we had the revolution of weight training. In the 1900s, let's say, people started lifting weights. Then we had the running.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had to run, the jogging. And then we got into the functional stuff. Then we went into the intensity. So we had CrossFit. These are all steps. And still people come to me and say, yeah, but which muscle am I training? And still, even this functional idea, I think, has done its part. I think we have to go past it, go beyond it, because it's still approximations that, okay, yes, are more complex than, let's say, squats and pushing bilaterally, pulling bilaterally, but I don't think that's the way. I think it's still an approximation, and so I think if we want to make it flawless and as easy as possible for people to engage in, it has to be gamified. I think that play is the key, because play is the evolutionary pathway for people to move.
To learn, maybe, too?
To learn and to move. Yeah. That's the only way. I thought about this. I thought, okay, let's imagine, because we train, and it's good for us to train. But I said, okay, let's imagine let's say we have dogs. would a dog have a benefit from training? And I said, interesting, because dogs are not actually, yes, they are animals, but they are kind of more similar to us than from animals in the wild, because they live mostly inside or in small enclosures, and they eat what we gave them to eat. They don't hunt. And so, yeah, maybe them, yes, but maybe it's because they are they are like us. They are in a different evolutionary niche that they've been evolved for. But if you take an animal in the wild, I don't think it would benefit from training at all.
Not training the way we're used to,
Yeah.
but in a playing, yes.
Exactly.
Yes,
That's
that makes
what
a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, going to playing, there's a different topic that came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But even with eating habits, what we eat. If we take a look at animals, a gorilla, for example, big strong animal, but only eats mostly vegetables.
Yeah, leaves.
Yeah, and so you think about it, and how many of us, want to do the super protein, I just think, is that better for us? Because the only animals that eat meat, are your wolves, your lions, your tigers. But even then, they do not eat every day. They eat once a week, if that. Once every 5 days. And so I think that ties into...
In big meals. Yeah.
In big meals, and then that's it. And then good
then
luck.
they rest for like a day.
Yes, exactly. But then they have to work. So, yes, if we're looking at animals, you're right. They don't have to train, but they do have to play to learn how to.
Yeah. And I think that's a very unused but untapped potential, let's say, for helping people move, because it's there. The pathway is there. Playing is inherently fun.
Yes.
And you move. And so I try to gamify and make everything into a game, more into play and less into training direct, where I call it training. It's still a kind of play. I called it like first level play, where I tell you, okay, this is the problem. Like, let's say you have to do 10 squats and you have to do them like this. So I tell you what's the objective and how to do it. Then there's the second kind, which is, okay, I tell you what has to be done, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Like I said before, with a different, I don't know how to call it in English. Interesting.
What's it in Italian?
È un percorso a ostacoli.
So a path.
Okay, so it's not easy.
No. Un percorso is a path.
Yeah, but percorso ostacoli è più come percorso ostacoli.
It's obstacle path.
Obstacle path, yeah. Obstacle course, maybe.
Obstacle course, obstacle path. They're both the same.
Okay, so an obstacle path, obstacle course, where I say, okay, you have to go from A to B. Maybe I give you some rules, but that's it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. And if you're more strong than flexible, if you're more flexible than strong, you'll have different way of doing it, but it's both correct.
Yeah.
And you have to find your own way. So you're more inside of what you're doing. You're more connected with what you're doing. And you're learning, because you're learning about your body. You're learning about what happens if you bend in a way, if you pull in a direction that if I have to make it in a cable machine, it would be very awkward, very, very complex to teach you how to bend in a certain way, to flex in a certain way. But if I put you in a condition where that's the most likely solution, you'll get there.
Yes.
By yourself.
Yes. I agree with that.
And that's the second level of play. And the third level for me, it's where I don't even tell you what's the problem. You'll find your problem.
How many people do that?
Very, very few. Very, very few. I think it's very hard, but once you go there, that's the true mastery, I think. Once you have a way of doing, because you learned what are the ways to break down a problem, find solutions, short-term solution and long-term solutions. Like, let's say in climbing, this is very easy to understand, because
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Because when I did climbing in the States, I had a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
an instructor, who one of the very few times that you went, he would teach you how to fall. He would teach you, especially when you're doing bouldering.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit of free climb. And he would say, this is how you fall. And we used to practice that for a half hour. And the first thoughts were, I came here to climb. I don't want to learn how to fall. And then when I fell, I realized why.
That's very important.
I thought it was very interesting because then when I started to climb, one of the first things he said, okay, now climb up. And there were different heights. So the first one was only 5 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I said, okay, easy. When I got in the 10, and then if you were very good, you were allowed to do the 20 meter.
But leading with the ropes.
The 20 meter you did with lead.
Okay.
The 10 was optional.
But 10, you fall on the mats from 10?
You put more mats.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're downstairs, if you're down, if you're falling from 5, you had 1 mat. That was very good. And then if you went higher, you went 2 mats or 3 mats. And so because if you're on the floor, we had the beds.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one instructor was very rigid. And so I liked it. But when I noticed that I went past the 5, I started to get very nervous.
Makes sense.
And so I had a very hard time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a very hard time on going past the 5, but I learned that at the very beginning when he said, just climb. And then he started to say, okay, just take the blue path.
Yeah.
You had to really think.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing that, okay, I got to 3 meters and my arms are burning. I'm using too much arms.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
I have to use more
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
I have to use more of my weight. I have to learn a little bit more. And I did the course with him. I did it for a few months, almost 6 months. And then I did it for 6 months because then I was about to move here to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was one of the best training, or better, that was one of the best overall thinking that I had to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. I think I've learned it bouldering and climbing because, yes, I can tell you, have your arms, try to keep your arms always straight, use your feet. But if I make you do a long session, you'll understand it by yourself. You'll get there. It's there. Yes, as we said before, I might put you a little bit of a light and tell you, okay, this is the path. If you lost it a little bit, but you'll find your way. And you're training. You're actually training. It's not like, but I'm having fun. It's more of a game, so I'm not actually training. I'd have to lift weights as well. Yes, kinda, but you can actually just do that, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Absolutely. This guy was funnier because he left you. So he goes, take the blue path. You'll figure it out. And then he'd leave. And if you needed help, then it was 10 push-ups.
Before?
After.
For asking?
For asking.
Nice. That's very interesting.
And I said, okay. And so a few times I'd say, hey, what do you think? He goes, is that a question? I said, it is. And he goes, all right. He would say, move your left hand, put it there.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, okay. And then, is that another question? I go, yes. He goes, now put your foot there. Now try again. And I said, all right. And that was it. And then I get down. I have to do 20 push-ups. And if he liked it, but then you would start doing push-ups and he was pretend that he never saw you and he started talking to somebody. He goes, did you do 20?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Do it again. I didn't see. Okay.
Right.
But if you didn't do it, you had to stay. Or else you left and then he would not teach you again.
Interesting.
Yeah. He was very much like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it felt like, okay, this guy has purpose. This guy wants to show you something.
Mm-hmm. Teach you a way.
Yeah. And I thought that was very important.
Very, very important.
So I learned that I would do my push-ups. And when he would do again and start talking and not looking, I'd stop.
Yeah, to make sure.
And he goes, did you stop? I go, are you looking? He laughed. He goes, you're funny. And then I began doing them again. And he goes, okay, go.
Very interesting, very interesting. Because I think in climbing, there's this thing where we go climb together. She's a climber, I'm not a climber. I just climb. She's a climber.
Where do you guys climb? Where?
Ancona, there's a gym.
Via
There's only-
Persiani.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's only one gym right now.
right now.
Yeah, we go there. She's a climber and a teacher. I'm
Ah.
just an amateur. And sometimes people ask for help, but I understood that if you give them help and you tell them how to do it, what's the point? I mean, you'll go to another one and then you'll need help again. I mean, it's the same thing. We go back again to do squats, do 10 reps of this because I'm guiding you, move my move.
Yes.
But the game is, as we said, going through the third kind of play, the one where you find the problem, and the fun is finding the solution. If you give me, sometimes when I see people do something I was projecting or maybe just thinking about, I turn. I don't want to see how they do it, because if they solve it and I see how they solve it, I say, okay,
There's no fun.
there's no fun anymore. I have to go somewhere else. And there's a finite number, so I lost that one.
Actually, I don't mind it. Because if you look and you try to replicate, is it good for you?
See, could be. See, it's a different kind of training. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Different kind of play. Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, we are very different climbers, me and her. She has very strong fingers, but very static climber. And I'm more of a powerful exploring. I mean, I'm powerful, but my fingers are not that strong.
Yes.
So we have very different solutions. So I might look at what she does and try it, but it's not for me. But yeah, sometimes everybody is specialized in. The more you do it, the more you specialize in what your body type and character.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is, and looking and try to replicate what other people that are very different from you do. It's very interesting. Make you more balanced athlete.
I think when I was playing golf and I was doing more tournaments, I had one friend who all he did was practice short game. So a short game is 50 yards and in, even 90 yards and in. Because he used to say, if you can get less strokes here, so golf, you usually have par 4. Okay, par 4 means you have 4 chances to get inside the hole and your score is 0, which is perfect. If you have +1, you already did too many hits. If you have -1, you are better because you needed less hits. And so he used to say, work from 90 yards or 90 meters and down.
Oh, okay. How much is a yard to meter?
1 yard is 3 feet. So yard and meter are roughly the same.
Okay.
Roughly.
Good enough.
And so it was actually quite interesting because when I did short game, so 90 meters and putting, my score got better. Because I'm younger than most of the people. And because my power is better than theirs, that if I needed to hit 200...
Okay. You'll get to 90 and then you play from there, kind of.
Yes, I would try to hit as much as I can straight, just a little bit more power. But what I did not realize is the technique. Technique is very important in golf. And how calm you are. So the more... I'm going to hit this with all my power. I mean, I hit one shot. I said, I'm going to hit this with all my power. I feel it. It went 2 meters. And everybody started laughing. And I said, okay. And the guy goes, you know why? Because you're looking at power and you're not looking for technique. I said, okay. And all the older people that have played with me, I'm talking 60, 70, everybody would just go in there relaxed and hitting this ball and it would go straight. I want to go so far. And I said, And he goes, breathe, calm, and that's all it takes. He goes, you're getting better, but just breathe. To the point that it would take, on some hits, I actually got a birdie, which is -1. So I was getting better. And I think that's how I won one tournament. Because it was just more breathing. It was just more, okay, just relax and have fun. And I think that's even with climbing, if you relax and breathe and just say, okay, this person's
definitely
a lot better than me. Okay, c'est la vie. Just try and breathe.
Especially in sports like this where you have your turn,
they
have theirs. So yes, you're competing
You're
with them, but actually you're competing with yourself.
It's always competing with
Yeah.
yourself. I think that's with every sport, no? I mean, even if you
Yes.
look at soccer, yes, it's a team sport. But if the team cannot rely on you, you're fighting yourself. And I think
Yeah.
if when I played soccer, I used to play the defensive midfield.
Mhm.
And then when I got to college, I played a little bit more in the forward. So as a striker, punta. And I would tell the coach, I'm so small. I cannot be punta. I can't be the striker. I'm short. He goes, it's okay. You'll learn. And because I used to run a lot, I used to get the ball, and then I used to pass it back, and then, it was just a different concept, a different tactic. But even when I was a defensive midfield, I was not good with the ball. I was better without the ball. So my line was then to defend, because it was always better for me. So then when I got the ball, I just passed it to whoever was better. But then when he moved me to striker, I had to develop a new set of skills to get better with the ball.
Mhm.
And even then, he said, you're not good with the ball. But what you know how to do is just read where to be. And so that's how you are so much stronger for the whole team.
Yeah.
Because
Useful. in a
Useful.
way, yeah.
Yeah. And I think if I let down my team, even though it's a team sport, I was fighting myself a lot of times
Yeah,
because I
definitely,
said,
yeah.
where am I running? Where
Yeah.
am I going? Why am I not getting the ball?
Yes, I think maybe in sports it's more like when you have the actual competition, I think like it's like with fighting in a way, you are in front of the other of your opponent. So maybe during the actual competition, you are against another human being instead of against yourself, but in the bigger scheme of things, you are obviously trying to get better day by day, and so it's a competition with yourself. But I feel like during the act of competing, like during the match, you are actually he's in front of you. He can kick you. He can hit you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that during that, it's more like you have to dance with your opponent. So you have to. Yes, you have to be better, but at the same time, you have to get into the mind of your opponent, try to understand him. So it's more like a dance with him during the match. Instead, maybe even with jumping, again, Gianmarco Tamberi, I think his sport, yes, he's like, he could be at home jumping the same height when he was.
Oh, yes.
I mean, not the same height, but I mean, it's the same thing. He's in front of the bar. He has to run. He has to do exactly the same amount of steps. Then he leaps and then he falls. That's it. The day of the match, that's it. And it's exactly the same. Maybe in golfing you have different kind of, you go different places, So maybe you've trained there, but it's not actually where you train every day.
Right.
But if you think about it in sport, it's the same bar, it's the same walk, maybe a bit different, humidity, stuff like that.
But it's also the mindset.
Yeah.
Because I think even with fighting with yourself, with an opponent, if you have somebody in front of you, but if you are already scared of that person.
Yes. No, it's fine.
Okay. If you are already scared of that person, or maybe the night before you got into an argument with your wife, so you're not completely there.
Yeah.
You're now fighting yourself to stay focused fight another person.
Yes. You say in your mind it's a fight with yourself.
Absolutely. It's always a fight within yourself.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. In that sense, yeah.
Even in Tamberi's case, I think even if it's the same bar, the same steps, the same height, everything is always the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same because it's not Tuesday from last year anymore where everything went perfect.
Yeah.
Now it's Monday in 2025 and you're saying, what's difference now? Well, last night I did not sleep well. Okay. And I think that's always going to be a fight within people. I think that always has to be the fight within people.
Yeah. And how to deal with that fight?
With time, I think I've learned how to be more sure of myself because I know what I did. I know where I had to come from. I know what I had to already do. And I think when you keep that under control for the time, especially if you have a fight, if you have an event, keep that under control. I think that's the best time. I think that's something that you have to learn. And obviously, I think, I mean, if you get into a fight with your wife the day before a big event, I think it's gonna weigh a lot on you because you're thinking about it. But I think professionals, they have a routine, a daily routine before a big event. Before in golf, you see a lot of routines before they hit every time, because it's that moment for 5 seconds that you have to hit a ball, that you go, you hit, and then it opens up again. And I think the routine aspect, especially for a professional, is what allows them to be concentrated for that minute of time.
Same. To evoke the muse, evoke the spirit you want to be inhabited in that moment.
Exactly. I think when you train, even music, when I was in chiropractic school, I was playing drums at the same time. So with me, when I used to study with my drumsticks. Okay? So I used to have a beat, and then I used to study that way. And then when it was time for the test, I would get my drums and just lightly tap them in the same way to help me be focalized and to focus on what I needed to do. And I've had routines for a lot of what I do. So in the morning when I wake up at 5 a.m. because that's my routine. I wake up and I know, okay, get up. And I put it about 1 meter or 2 meters away from my bed, so I have to get up. So I get up, I push stop, I go back and I start to breathe and meditate. And if it lasts 5 minutes, that's fine. If it lasts 10 minutes, that's great. If I fall back asleep, I try again tomorrow. Okay? But I try to remind myself, okay, just breathe, just meditate, and just be in the moment. And it's all right. And then after that, get up, start to work out, and I drink my water. So I drink almost a liter of water as soon as I wake up. Why? Because it's important for your body to be hydrated. And then I start to work out. So I work out with elastic bands. I work out free weights. If I can't go to the gym and I know I don't have time to go to the gym, then I just do, body weight. I do push-ups. So one of the new things I started incorporating is just this morning I was doing squats before my daughter woke up. I was doing squats. And in between my squats with the elastic band, I did 10 squats, just body weight. So I take a minute of rest, but in that moment, I try to do push-ups, 10 push-ups or 10 squats. And so I try to always keep it moving because I don't like just to stand around. I think it's I have time for that.
Yeah.
And I don't like to stand around. Yes. And so that's my basic routine. And then from there, I make my coffee. I read my book. I try to read at least 10 to 15 minutes a day. Good. And then once about 6 o'clock comes, I start to do the emails that I need to send, all the things that I really have to do. 6:30, it's time for me to get breakfast ready for everybody. So I start to put the tea for my wife. I start to get the plates for the children, whatever they have to eat that morning. So I try to prepare things for them. I try to prepare their backpacks in the morning and bring it already in the car. So when it's go, you go. And so that's my routine. And then when 7 o'clock comes and everybody's awake, then that's when the fun starts. And that's when I say, okay, I could be dad.
Yeah.
I don't have to be what I like to be, which is always focused. I could be dad. I could, cuddle with them. I could go into bed and wake them up slowly.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense, especially you have a very busy life, seems like. So finding your time to do the things that helps you. And I see that I'm building something like that myself. And so I find myself in what you say. And what are you reading right now? I'm interested.
I'm reading a book that's called Who, Not How. So how to really learn who could do things better than you. So what I've come to focus on in work, I love to help people. Okay. I used to go to Fabriano, which is, an hour and a half to go, an hour and a half to come back. So I said, okay, that's 3 hours of my time. I also work on Wednesday afternoon in Recanati, Centro Eos, and it's a paleambulatorio, but the director called me under COVID, so 2020, and he was asking me, can you please come? We need a chiropractor. Your name came. from many people, we would like you in our team. And I said, no.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time, no. The third time, I said, okay, you guys call me 3 times. I'll come. I wanted to know what was happening. And then I decided to go. And when I decided to go, I think they were not expecting a lot. But what we ended up finding is they had a few patients with strokes. They had a few patients that really needed help. And they did not know which path to take. So they just sent them to me. And with the stroke patient, we saw that he was now standing up for 5 minutes before he was not standing up at all. He was able to walk back and forth 10 meters, which is a lot. Yeah. And so we had found the very good things, and now I've been there. But I said at that time, maybe I could direct those 3 hours here. So I will give you my full day. And then from there, we started working a lot better. And with time, I've noticed that I love to help people. I don't like to give exercises. I don't like to look at exercises. Mm-hmm. Okay? I like that if I call my physical therapist that I work with, if I know the personal trainers, if I could call somebody to help you with your exercises, that's what I want to do. And so that for me, I looked at what do I love to do, which is 20% of the things is chiropractic. And the 80% that takes that wastes my time is the exercises. I want to send them away so that way you or that way a physical therapist could do that work that you love to do.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's what this book is reiterating, the steps that I had taken. And from what I learned this book is really to set up the day you want it and focus on those 20 minutes into something. So on Monday, for example, I work all day in Ancona. But by doing that, I'm able to see and help really more people in the morning. And this morning, I had an emergency last night. The owner of a dog, I treat dogs as well. And one of the owners picked up the dog wrong. And this dog has a herniated disc. So this morning at 7:30, I was already in my office treating the dog. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it was starting to fall again as it walks. And then after the treatment, it was not running, but it was walking better. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, if I could just focus that time just on these small things, how many more people can we help? And so that's the book that I'm reading on who, not how.
That's very interesting. It's the importance of networking instead of
trying to do
everything.
Yes.
That's very interesting because these days I've been reading about chiropractic because I was interested, I never went fully in and tried to understand the history. How does it come from? Where is the difference between that and, as we said, osteopathia, physiotherapy? I mean, because for me, I tend to, I don't like to put a label on what I do. I've never understood why, but I think it's because I felt limited by putting myself into, I don't know, let's say CrossFit or yoga. I don't like it because I want to be free to say, okay, this thing doesn't make sense anymore to me. I want to do more. And so be able to reach out and get something, take something from something else, from somebody else. And so when I approached this, I thought, okay, but a genuine question, why do we have so many different flavors of helping people, I mean, I was genuinely saying, why do we have so many? I mean, if something works, it works. Why can't everybody do the things that work, And this is a genuine question. I'd like to know your answer because it's interesting for me, But at the same time, this is what you said, kind of answered it because sometimes we putting boundaries around us. Okay, say I do this. This is the way which I can best help, better help people for my time, and I can somebody else can do a little thing better than I could do it, and maybe in less time, and maybe even in a place where it's easier for people to reach. Mm-hmm. And so I let them do it for me, even if maybe I could start learning it, maybe I could start doing it.
It's funny because when I was in chiropractic school, mm-hmm. We have to learn a lot of what how to get people better. So in chiropractic school, we learned about laser and ultrasound. We learned about E-stem and electrical stimulation, everything possible to try to get people better. And when I was in chiropractic school, aside from doing chiropractic, I also learned and was taught physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the big difference is the culture. The culture between America and Italy. And I've been here now for 10 years, and I see a big, big difference. In Italy, or in the States, I should say, when I worked, I used to be not only in my office. So in my office, I was roughly about 60 hours a week. Okay. And then I used to also teach at 2 universities. So mind you, I was 25 years old, already teaching young chiropractors, and I had sports teams. So I had to teach young chiropractors how to better adjust a sports person. And I saw hockey, I saw football, I saw soccer, I saw basketball, I saw baseball. And a lot of these kids, because they were younger than me, they're all 18, 19, 20, they had to come to me before they go into becoming a professional.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny because we had the orthopedic, we had the surgeons, we had everybody, and then there was the chiropractor, and then there was the physical therapy, and that's it.
Okay.
And so at the table, it was all the doctors, and physical therapy was always out. Because if you're not the doctor, don't come. But I thought it was always interesting because when I used to work in the States, I always had a physical therapist with me because I like chiropractic. The physical therapist likes the rehab. Mm-hmm. He likes to work with the muscle. That's perfect. When I was in office, in private office, I used to always have a physical therapist with me so that way he could work on the stuff that he used to love and I could do what I love. And I see this as a big challenge in Italy. Not so much at the polyclinic, because there, I see somebody and you're coming in because your knee hurts, okay? Your foot is not placing correctly. Mm-hmm. So we adjust the foot, I adjust the back, and I say, okay, I'm going to call this person, the physical therapist, and I give him what I see, and then I want him to come up with a plan for you, for your foot, or for your muscles. I'll give you one exercise, but that's it. But then you also have to start physical therapy. And for me, it's normal. In Italy, I see that it's very competitive in the sense that there's so many physical therapists and everybody thinks they're going to steal their patient. They're going to steal this person. Who am I going to steal? If the person feels better, they will come. If you do your job correctly, they will come. If you're worried about stealing, that means you're not very confident in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think so as well.
And I have a strong belief in that. And I could see a lot of people, and I see now animals, and they're calling me for horses, they're calling me for dogs, and they're calling me for cats. And I was talking to a veterinarian on Monday night, and I called him, and because he was worried, because there is a dog that wants to come to me, or the person wants to bring his dog that is 16 years old. What are you going to do? And I said, do you want to come? You're invited. And I said, all I want to do is create more mobility. Because if you're not mobile, you're stressed. I just want to create more mobility. I don't do very hard. It's very soft. I said, I see Chihuahuas. I see, Great Danes, which is the Alano. I see them. I see every type of dog. I see horses and horses that compete. And after the adjustments, we've noticed that after when they do their actual competition, they've won. And people come up to me, but what are you doing? I'm just creating more mobility. That's all you want to do. And that's all I can do. Mm-hmm. Well, what about this and that? I said, listen, if there's a physical therapist for your animal, then get him. If there isn't, I know, and I'm already looking to see what exercises I could give you. So if you have a hard time first, then you call me. It's not what I like to do, but I'll do it. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so in Italy, I found it very hard to work with people because everybody thinks you're going to steal.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's
And
very interesting.
and I think because of the history of Italy.
Mm.
Italy was always commanded by many other countries. Okay, when the Roman Empire was the biggest, it was powerful. But then with time, everybody else started coming in too. And so because you had so many invasions, you almost had to be furbo. It's a technical word. And so I think with that mentality, because most Italians have it, they want to be furbo. They want to try to get as much possible.
Yeah.
I think, but it's not that way. As when you're looking at health, if we both have the same agenda is to get the person who comes to us better, then if they feel better with me and then I send it to you, what is the difference?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Or I have people that, come and they say, I'm feeling really good. I do physical therapy now once every 2 weeks or once a week. Good, continue. I'll see you in a month. And it's fine because I know that you're going to work with a physical therapist on the muscles. But I know that I work on the nervous system, the spine, the nerves. But if your nerve is not firing correctly, that muscle will not work correctly.
Yeah.
So if you say, your glutes, your glute is not working well, that's not a problem of the muscle. That's a problem because the nerve is not working.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I come in. That's where I say, okay, let's get this better. Let's get more mobility in the spine. Let's let that nerve fire correctly. Because if the nerve fires correctly, then the glutes is going to say, I have a stimulus. Now I could work.
Yeah, now you can train them.
Now you could train them.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot train somebody that is sleeping.
Yeah.
You cannot wake somebody that prefers not to be woken.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting concept that not a lot of people think about. But if we're really looking at that, I mean, I have, neurosurgeons, neurochirurgo, that will call me and say, hey, this person does not need to be operated. Can you help? Yes, send them. What does he have? A hernia disc, or he has 3 protrusion. Can you do something? Yes. How? We create more mobility.
Yeah. I think, it's very rare in Italy it's kind of networking in a way, I mean, it's cooperating for the health of of the clients. And I feel like it's a very US state of mind. I call it what it's here in Italy, famine mentality, where people think, okay, no, famine. Sorry.
No, you're good.
People think, oh no, I have to hold my clients very, very tight because if they go somewhere else, I lose one. I might not get it back, and I need them. So I try to connect with people for physical therapy because people, they train with me, and sometimes they need help that I cannot give them, and I want to find people I can have a cooperation with, but at the same time, I want them to understand what I do, and I want to understand what they do because I don't trust everybody. I mean, I don't think that everybody's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very selective, but it's hard. It's hard. People don't want to open up too much, don't want to cooperate too much, even if you're not exactly in the same line of work. Because I mean, physical therapy and what I do might be sometime, in interference with each other. I mean, I might do something that is kind of physical therapy. Yeah, sometimes small stuff. But I mean, it's different, and it's hard to find people. And instead, I feel like reading and being formed in the US, it's very different, where it seems like people are more open to expand and unify. And these centers that are growing in Italy as well, Loris again, this person is opening this space. He took the space behind his gym, and now he has a space where he has an office where he can bring physical therapy or any other, even psychology, which is, for me, it's very interesting, the connection. And then a place where people can eat, so a small restaurant with the right ingredients, the right stuff. And then a co-working space where people can even work there. And I feel like this is the future. I feel like more integrating centers where people can have all in the same place. It's where we are going.
I'm laughing because that's the future Italy now. But this for me is something very normal because that was the future of Los Angeles 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And so of having everybody together. So that way you don't waste time. You do what you have to do, and you move on, and it's quite interesting.
It's interesting. That's even why I study in English and why I listen to podcasts from the US, because I feel like it's like having glasses looking through the future and see what's coming, what's ahead. And it gives you a very powerful instrument. And I think the fact that we've put Latin back into school instead of strengthening English, we are one of the least English-speaking nations in Europe, and I don't know in the world, but in Europe,
yes,
absolutely. And the fact that we have movies only in Italian with doppiatori, I think it's absolutely terrible. And the fact that books don't even get translated. The books I'm reading, the books you've seen there, most of them are not even translated. So if you get the stuff, you get it translated, which is always a bit changed. It's not the same. Yes, and also you get it like 3-5 years later at a bigger price even. So, I mean, what's the point? And you lose so much. You lose so much. You'll always be a little bit behind.
Yes. Yes. I think that what's funny, though, is because Italy used to be such a place that was advanced on so many aspects that it almost became scared of advancing, or because it became too timid and almost, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah, I think it's the right phrase.
And I find it quite interesting because a lot of the doctors that I work with, I have a lot of medical doctors now that come, and they ask me can you come to Torrete? I said, yes, if I can come, I will. Why not? Okay, why can't I help more people? And it's funny because in the States, I used to work in a hospital. I used to be part of the orthopedic team because chiropractic and orthopedic, it makes sense. And I used to work in Venice Beach at the hospital for a few months, and I worked there, and it was good. But then you come to Italy, and it's like, no. Yeah. What are you doing? You're not using medicine. No, then I think that has also a lot to do with it, because I don't use medicine. I don't use medicine personally. Does it have a place? Yes. But if you have a cold, if you eat, the right ingredients, if you get rid of a lot of ingredients that can inflame you, your colds go away naturally. Yeah. You don't always need antibiotics if it's not a bacteria, you don't need it.
Yeah. Think about this. We have colpo di freddo in Italy. What do you think about that?
Actually, I did my research on that.
What's the point? Please.
Yes.
Tell me. So I'm interested.
I did research on it because I was making fun of a lot of Italians.
Okay.
I came in with colpo di freddo. Actually, what has been noted, and it was in 2021, I think, the study was. What is actually happening is that near the spine, we have receptors. And they're mechanical receptors. So anything pressure, anything that has to do with touch. The moment you feel cold, your muscles tighten. And it causes these receptors to become stimulated. What do they release? Pain. And so that's why colpo di freddo, the moment you feel cold, you feel a little bit more pain. Because it's the baroreceptors that we have. And it's a change of barrel pressure in the atmosphere, not so much of the cold feeling.
Okay.
And so it's a thermal because of the cold. Then you have the mechanical pressure. And then you also have the pain stimulators, the nociceptors, that will cause these all to inflame. So colpo di freddo, in reality, is because your muscle tightens, and it creates a stimulation of all three.
So it's the tightening of the muscles.
It's the tightening of the muscle.
But don't you think because I do ice baths, so I'm used to the cold. I
do the cold showers, yes.
As much as you can, let's say, because there are limits. But I feel like if you train them, you can control that.
You're not controlling your muscle. What are you
not controlling, but I can be calm in that contraction.
You said the right word. Calm is not state of here. It's a state of here.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah, I can feel I can feel my body changing, adapting. I can feel the blood coming out of my arms, of my legs, of my feet. I can feel the contraction. I can, if I go deep enough, I can even feel I start to shiver.
Yes.
But I can just watch it and not get.
Because it's a state of mind.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few new researchers that have shown this, that it's all a state of mind. You know, Wim Hof, why can't he run in the middle of the snow? Because his state of mind is so at rest and so at peace that he knows he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I meditate, especially during the winter, if I could stay outside in -1 and meditate even for 10 minutes without a shirt, I like it.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It's calming.
Yeah.
When I have to wake, you know, when I take my shower at 6 in the morning, if I work out, I take a regular warm and then cold. If I don't work out, it's cold shower. Why? Because it stimulates me.
Yeah.
I don't have pain after. I feel very good after. But because my state of mind is already in the known that I feel better. I feel good already. Colpa di freddo, I think, happens because there are a lot of people inflamed.
Okay.
And so if you're more inflamed, everything is going to bother you. No?
Yeah, it's going to be the drop that makes the bucket flow.
Exactly. And I think that's the state that a lot of people are in. And so if you ask me, colpa di freddo, is there research behind it? Yes. Is it also a state of mind? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ask somebody that is not in a hurry.
Yeah.
You know? Are you in a hurry? Yes. What do you have to do, really?
It would be interesting to think because, okay, it's an Italian thing, you know, but it would be interesting to study if it's like less or more in like Friuli or in the upper regions, because I feel like if you're adapted to cold, and adapted to cold, it's not like brown fat and stuff like that. Yes, that's a part, but I feel it's like, how can you deal with that stress?
Well, here, I'll tell you, because I'm from California, and it's a lot warmer than this.
Yeah.
But when I first moved here, it was cold. It was very cold. The first time I wore a scarf was here. The first time I wore gloves was here. And so now, for me to go outside in the winter when in the morning it's -2, 3, I enjoy it. That when the last time I went to Las Vegas, it was December. Las Vegas gets cold.
I'll go in May.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be hot. Las Vegas is a desert. So during the day, even in January, it will be maybe 15, 17 degrees. At night, it gets to -5 because it's a desert. You have nothing protecting it. So because of the thermal change, when I see it's about 10 degrees, that's for me comfortable now. I could go with the short sleeve and I feel fine.
With the sun.
With the sun.
Yeah.
And if there's a little bit of wind, you put a nice little comfortable jacket.
Yeah. I think it's the same for me. I think about around 10, 12, maybe 15 with the sun, it's the best. Even for running, I feel like running outside, I run with huaraches, you know, traditional sandals. And I tend to run without a shirt because I want to absorb as much sun as possible. It's my opportunity. And when it's around 12 with the sun, it's the best because you cool down naturally. It's not too hot where you start sweating profusely, and I'd have to drink and integrate during and before. It makes it more harder, but I think that's the sweet spot, I think, even for me.
Do you run long kilometers?
No.
Okay.
I might one day, but I don't think it's healthy for me. I feel like I've always been more of a sprinter, so I like to do shorts. But when I started running, coming from water polo, I was a water polo player. It was really hard on my knees, on my ankles. My ankles were. I've grown up in the swimming pool, so without gravity, and so my ankles were absolutely not used to the concrete, and so I could do two things. Or take a giant cushion for my feet, or I could say, no, I'm going to run for 30 seconds, but barefoot, to adapt. And to adapt I said, okay, if I can learn to run barefoot on concrete, means my technique is flawless. And I've adapted my knees, my ankles, my hips even. And I know what I'm doing is correct. I wanted a stronger feedback to be sure I was doing everything correct. and it worked. Now I can run like, I ran max 10K. Like I tried doing more, but it's really painful for me. I mean, I really don't like it to go over that. My wife, she is a trail runner, so she does long kilometers on the mountain. You don't like running?
I don't like running anymore.
Anymore, yeah, exactly. I was saying, you told us before.
Yeah.
Soccer used to run a lot.
I used to run a lot. Even when I was training for a marathon, I got to, the 12 kilometers, 15 kilometers.
So you did it. You did a marathon.
I was training for it, and then my second daughter was born. My daughter was born, the first one, and so after training became very hard, and so I got to 30 kilometers a week, and I could start feeling it. But I also started noticing that I was always very cold. And so one of the things with runners is that you lose a little bit of muscle mass, because running is not the same. It's not the same as lifting weights.
Yeah.
And so you have more inflammation in your body, and so you're naturally gonna feel more cold. So
also body fat gets low.
Yes, and so I thought that was quite interesting on me, and that's what I saw, and I said, it's true. A lot of these experiments that they did, I can actually see it.
Yeah, in action.
Yes, and so now if you say, hey, let's go for a short run, I'll say, all right, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and that's fine.
Fun.
Yeah,
fun
that's
run.
fine. That's fine.
I like it the same. I might do like 4, let's say, if I train. If it's not like a simple run, but just a training.
If you say, let's go to the mountains and run, I'll say, yeah, let's do it. Because that for me, I used to, in California, used to go trail running.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's for me, it's fun. If you ask me to go more though than 5, I'll say no. Because one, I don't have the time. So everything has to be very set right now. Yeah. Then when the kids get older, I'll have more time.
And take them maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So with my kids, I usually now take them to go hiking.
Yeah.
We enjoy hiking. We don't do it as much as we would like to do it. And that's just because I think in this time in this period of life, everything has to be a little bit more concise and more straight. Other than that, I take them to the park, and then I chase them. I'm always it. And then I pretend that I can't reach them, so that way they have to run. So that way I get to run even more. Or I do my races with them now. I race with them, and then we have a good time. I try to keep them running. I try to keep them enjoying as much as I can.
Okay, so a question that is very interesting for me. It's 2 questions. Let's start with one. I'd like to know, what would you say what should everybody do in a week, in a month, maybe in a season?
In regards for health?
For health, yes.
1, get adjusted.
Okay, makes sense.
Because I feel like if your body's already prepared and your nervous system is a lot calmer, you can do so many more things.
And you think it's something weekly, something seasonally, something monthly?
I do mine because I've been getting adjusted since I was 16. So mine is once a month. I think for people to become adapted to a new body, do it once a week for a period. And then once you become adjusted and become regulated, then it could go once a month, once every 2 weeks. It depends on every person. 1, 2, drink water. 3, cell phone. I try to put a timer every time I go on social. So I put 7 minutes and I say that's my 7 minute of free time that I don't want to think. If you're learning something, learn. Because I think that's important. If you're not learning, you're wasting it. Reading and eating. I eat, how many times do I eat a day? 1 to 2 times a day. Because I think if you keep a limit, I think it helps you, 1, live better, longer. And I think what you eat is also important. Yeah. I eat a lot more plants than I do animals. But I'm not gonna lie, I love meat. I love fish. And we incorporate it maybe once, twice a week. But for the most part, we eat a lot of eggs and a lot of vegetables. So I think if people could start that, it becomes a habit to where you're gonna keep that throughout your whole life.
Yeah. And about training, you have any you think something is better than something else?
I mean,
In your opinion?
in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
when people tell me, should I go to the gym? Should I go swimming?
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like this.
I say, do you like it?
Mm-hmm.
No, I hate it. Don't go.
Yeah.
Do you like walking? Yes, go for a walk. Or I usually say, here, if I give you a number, will you call? And most people want to say yes because they want to make you happy.
Yeah.
But I really love the people that say no. And I say, perfect. Because at least you're not wasting people's time. But the ones that do say yes, I leave them, random. I leave them phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Also depends on where they live.
Of course.
And then if they call, I'm happy. If they don't call, I almost expect it. And like I said, because it's not that they want to. A lot of times people really like don't have time management.
That's a great way to put it. It's not like they don't have time. They don't have time management.
They don't have time
That's
management.
great, yeah.
And I think that's
Absolutely.
because I used to not have time management, and that's why I had wake up at 5, because now I can manage my time
Yeah.
in the way I want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes.
I think because if you find time to go on Facebook for 3
Yeah,
hours
yeah.
every day, you can
Yeah,
find
yeah.
time to go work out.
Yeah, yeah. I don't do it, but sometimes when people tell me I don't have time, I'd love to tell them, give me your phone
Yes.
and see how much time. I don't do it because it's very rude, but
No, do it.
it's very.
I've learned to do it.
Yeah, it's,
I say,
if you show them, it's there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to just scroll.
Yeah, yeah.
there.
I say, hey, how long, were you on Facebook? Oh, not that long, but in reality, research says 2 to 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
People watching movies. I don't watch a lot of movies. I don't. I always hear my wife, come sit down with us. I say, no, I'm reading. I prefer to read. I'll sit down on the couch with you, but I prefer my reading.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to learn things. I prefer to read and become. I'm a nerd. So
More accustomed with knowledge.
no, I'm a nerd. I like to learn, numbers. I like to learn facts. Yeah. I like to learn.
Interesting.
I like to learn, especially now that I'm working with animals.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked by a statistic, an American statistic that said over 80% of dogs are killed. They put them to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And just say, why? Because they do not move, because of mobility reasons, not because of health, but because they become too old and they cannot move anymore.
Yeah.
Then I said, 80%, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
80%.
Maybe they could move if they did something, try something different. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I think that's what stimulated a lot of me to become now with animals, to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because my passion for chiropractic is so much that I feel that if you could just get the body to move
Mm-hmm.
and get the nervous system to work, why not? And
Exactly.
and I think that's what people have a lot of hard time with. Why not? And why not try? And it's a tough concept.
Yeah.
Simple concept, tough idea.
Yeah, as we said in the beginning. No?
Yeah. But but I think if you want it, you have to You have to manage your time very wisely.
Yeah. It's one of our most important, maybe the only weapon we have, it's our attention,
Mm-hmm.
where we direct our attention, because everything that we engage with becomes part of us. Could be food, could be what we see with our eyes, what we feel with our body, what we hear. Everything becomes our past and becomes what we are. And so directing our attention, it's where we put our attention, it's our greatest strength as human beings.
Yes, I think there was a quote that I once read. I don't remember who said it, and that's unfortunate because I can't give credit. But if you think about the past, you're in depression. If you think about the future, you're anxious. But if you think about now, that's what we have.
Yeah, I laugh because my logo, the Ouroboros, is exactly that, where it's the eternal change, where you can be either the head or the tail, The tail is anxious because it's gonna be eaten. The head is depressed because maybe it's gonna. Yeah, I'm eating myself.
Exactly.
And you can be. It's both at the same time, but you can be in the center. You could be the one eating and renovating, and becoming new every time. It's just a point of view.
It is. It is.
It's always the same.
There was a when I was in high school. I believe there was a poet, Sylvia Plath, and I believe it was her that said this. But one of her lines is, "I kill myself every day looking in the water," because you could see the change in the reflection, right? Every time we look in the mirror, we change.
Yeah.
Because we get a day older.
And we die a little bit every day.
Exactly. Well, or we learn a little bit every day.
It's both. It's the snake that's eating its tail, so it's the continuous change that integrated into something either better or worse. You decide.
Exactly. I agree with that.
And you decide by what are you eating, what you're putting in, what are you eating, not only food, but everything that...
Your thoughts.
Yes, everything. Very interesting. And the last question, it's how do you see your line of work and health in general in the, let's say, next 5 to 10 years? What do you think would change?
Well, in chiropractic in Italy, what do I hope we could change?
You can start there, and then I'm interested even in the future of the U.S. with this different with Trump getting in office these days, and also with Kennedy getting into a lot of changes are happening right now.
Yes. What do I hope? I hope that everybody becomes more aware of just their health in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think we become so used to going to some place and telling us what to do, and that's it. Okay. I know in my line of work as a chiropractor, I don't use medicine again. Is there a time for it? Yes. Does everybody need it? No. I think if we become aware of what we do with our bodies, and we become aware how we applicate it, like you were saying, it's your choice. You can either listen to somebody, take one pill every day, and you hope that you feel better. Just like you can take control of your body, work out, exercise, do the right meditation, do the right thinking, do what you like. I think you will begin to see a lot. I hope you see a lot less diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's with my line of work, I hope in Italy chiropractic is known e riconosciuta, ma the chiropractor, me, is not. And I think Italy wants to be part of the big group because the whole world says chiropractic is well known e riconosciuta, but I think Italy has a hard time trying to understand why we don't give medicine and people are better, or why chiropractors understand that the brain is the control center, the spinal canal is important, and the nerves are the ones that have to give the stimulus. Why, if you adjust that and your body feels not anxious anymore, why are you getting better?
Mm-hmm.
Because I could tell you, I have a lot of people that come with back pain, and then they say, "Oh, I have anxiety," but then they come back after a month and they say, "My anxiety is better. I can sleep at night. I don't have to wake up 5 times anymore because I'm worried about something." And you say, "Well, what are you doing?" Things that you tell me. Okay. Well, because if you calm the nervous system down, you feel better.
Yeah. More at ease.
More at ease. And I think if I hope that Italy goes in that direction. I hope that the States goes in that direction because the biggest manufacturer of medicine is the States.
Yeah.
And the biggest consumer. Oh, he's not paying attention, give him a pill. Oh, he's not doing this, give him a pill.
Luckily, we're not there. And I don't think we'll go there.
I hope not.
I'm not sure because, as we said before, we are so close to innovation that we lose some interesting stuff, but we get saved by lots of bad stuff as well.
I hope the labeling does not continue. Because I think everybody in society now wants to be labeled.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's the worst that you could do. Is just label somebody and label.
Yeah. Add and keep adding every year with the DMC new labels.
Yes. No. That's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
I think if you feel good and you're doing well, good. If you have a hard time concentrating, let's find out why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very it's interesting that that's a futuristic approach.
Yes,
you know?
because that was how it used to be,
Yeah,
no?
exactly.
It's a circle.
It's so basic. It's so, but at the same time, it became something.
Well, I think why? Because I think people don't, they don't want to waste time. So taking a pill is
As
faster.
we said before, no crack,
Yes.
and it's not.
Yes. But the actual mechanism behind it of why people don't want to understand, or maybe they're afraid to understand.
Maybe they are not ready to
Maybe
see
they're
it.
not ready.
But we are not helping them see that. We are just saying, no, you don't have to see it. You can just ignore everything.
Yes.
Put it under the rug.
Exactly.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Exactly, and we all know that it never works.
No.
So
Creates different kinds of monsters, like the Hydra that comes up
yes,
with two heads
and
every
then
time.
you cut it.
Yeah.
But that's. I hope the future is. I always say I hope the future is limitless
Mm-hmm.
and labelless now.